Well, good day, Gridiron fans. You're looking live at Ellis Park on the outskirts of the city of Adelaide, the South Australian capital. It's time for the 38th running of the Gridiron South Australia Grand Final, aka the Great Southern Bowl. The Hogs of Adelaide Uni against the defending champions, the UniSA Eagles. My name is Phil Hurd, and great to have your company here this afternoon for some Grand Final action. I'm joined by a man who covers a wide variety of sports. Great to be calling this with him, Dave Webb. Dave, welcome to Ellis Park and Grand Final Day.
Good afternoon, Phil. It is absolutely glorious. It's around the 30s today, so I'm glad I'm in t-shirt and shorts and not that lot that they're wearing out there. But it's certainly, it's going to be one of those days where it's not just about the football today. You're going to have to get through the conditions of Adelaide today.
You've played this game at this level wearing all black. What was that like on a hot day?
For myself, it was okay because I didn't move around that much, if I'm perfectly honest, Phil. But yeah, I certainly, it is going to be a war of attrition for these guys out there, and hydration and just getting themselves through it, I think, will be it. This game's different to every single regular season game. You go that extra inch, you go that extra 1%, and that's what potentially can cause the injuries.
Mitch Olive, I think he's gone with the rugby union, aka little short drop kick. I think it's gone out of bounds. That'll bring the flag, and the Eagles will have some decisions to make whether to have a re-kick or take it in good field position. Just to sort out for those who don't know these teams, Adelaide University, the Hogs are in the white and maroon. The UniSA Eagles are in the purple, silver and white. Gridiron SA, a four-team competition, runs from September to December. 38th season, which is a bit of a worry, Dave, because I can remember the very first game. And the Hogs usually own this day. They're shooting for their 28th premiership, the most of any gridiron club in the country.
Interesting decision to go an onside kick because you give the opposition a really short field if you get it wrong. I like the idea to come up with possession early, but if you get it wrong, you've given the Eagles, a 55-yard field.
Yeah, it's... hey, we got a 100-yard field. This is something different from the Riverside days. I should have to adjust all my stat stuff now because Riverside, our previous home, was 90. So it's at the 45, first down running play. Just gains a couple.
I think what we're going to look out for today, and this Hog side doesn't really change. I think if you take the knowledge and wisdom of their coaches and then add the discipline of their defensive backs, that's what Sam Crummey's going to have to break down today. They are incredibly good from a secondary point of view.
So second down, again the running play. This was the destroyer of the Hogs in last year's Grand Final, number 21 for the Eagles. You'll be keeping an eye on him all day, and the Hogs even more so. Ronaldo Gargiano, over 200 yards of offence in last year's premiership decider, deservedly won the MVP award. But now the first third down of the day, and I've got it about third down and 6. To the air they go, the Eagles, looking far downfield with the receiver, first down.
I mean, he is wide open. That's Jesse Whiten, and wide open. It feels like, just from what I saw, it feels like they've run a wheel route. The wheel route is something that can break down this Adelaide University, this Hogs defence. That they like to play a zone, so if you can cross them up and find a little bit of open field, that wheel route certainly is something that Sam Crummey can look at throughout the day.
24-yard pass, first down and 10, new set of downs. They go to Gargiano, who's getting his longest run of the day. It's going to be a good gain of about 5, I would suggest.
I like the start of the Eagles as well, and again, talking about this Hogs defence, their run defence, especially against a hard-nosed run, it can take them a little bit of time to get into the game. I know that historically when we played against them, they were so worried about the run that they went to a cover 0 at times. And again, for those who want it...
A cover 0? Does that mean they cover no one?
We'll explain after the next play.
Gargiano avoids the first tackle. And he's it's going to be interesting. He's going to get a lot of work early, I suspect. It's going to be 3rd and short, I think, or the chains are moving. The Santa chain crew, I'm not sure we're going to get a shot of those a little bit later on, but our chain crew looking resplendent in the Santa attire today.
I think it's the Spartans again, and we'll so many stories to tell you, Phil.
And a very quick game at the moment.
Quick game's a good game, Phil.
Agreed. Especially running game, keeps that clock a-ticking. Gargiano will go another. They've probably got to be a little bit careful here, the Eagles, because it is the warm day. Gargiano's your main weapon. He's been called to run on 5 of the first 6 plays, but
hey, it's great.
What's he going to have left in the final quarter?
It's Southern Bowl day. He could go 6 quarters. Like I said before, there is something about today where that just the extra inch, the extra yard, the extra 1% comes without you even thinking about it today.
So it's still Crummy in the shotgun. 2nd down and 10.
Yeah,
again, the receiver across the middle. One more block. I reckon he's going to get that end zone. No, just denied. Inside the 5. 1st and goal coming up. I think Tom Snelling on the tackle.
We'll go with Jalul.
Jalur on the reception. Good call. And Crummy 2 for 2. Setting it up beautifully at the moment.
So keep an eye on it today. I mean, again, if you're new to Gridiron, keep an eye on it today. If they cross those receivers, one comes in and one goes out, generally because the Hogs play a zone, the player can't pick both of them. So he's either got to come in or go out. He can't cover both of them, and then his deep cover is the safety. And if you get it wrong...
Gargiano sees the end zone and steps right into it. The Eagles, who started with sensational field position, well, they barely missed a beat, marched downfield, take an early 6-0 lead with the conversion to come. Very impressive drive to start this grand final.
I tell you what, if the coaching staff of the Eagles woke up this morning and wanted a game plan and wrote it down, that's pretty much how it would have started. Short field to start, beautiful mix of the run and the pass, because if you run and you really run heavy, the Hogs are just going to load the box, and they're not going to do that. The O-line, you talk about how hard you're going to work.
We're going to attempt an extra point kick here over the crossbar, and between the goalposts is worth an extra 1.
It sounds like a block.
Yeah, chasing the ball. The other team can return it for 2 points, but that very rarely happens, as it was Paul Muntz who took it downfield for the Hogs, who will get their first touch of the football very shortly.
It is interesting. I seem to have a drunk cameraman there. But just talking again about working in today's heat, this Eagles offensive line has to earn its steak dinner from Sam Crummy today. If Sam has the time in the pocket and if they allow those routes to develop, then this is going to be a long afternoon for those Hogs. The Hogs depend almost completely on rushing the quarterback. And Sam will forgive me, he's not the most mobile quarterback in the world. He wants to sit in that pocket and he wants to pick his receivers up. The Hogs they're just so good at rushing you and taking away all of your offensive options. Like I said before, they're the Eagles. If they wished for a start, this is about as good as a start they can get.
Ben Taylor, the veteran kicker, will put this game back underway. Henry Olsen, one of a couple of Hogs waiting to return it. It heads in Olsen's direction. He'll pick it up from around about the 10-yard line. Looks for somewhere to run down the Eagles sideline. He's coming right towards us.
It's a big hit again.
And the kicker. Don't often see the kicker make the big tackle, but...
I was about to make that point because I think the kicker made the tackle on the run back from the extra point attempt as well. In the NFL, yes, I'll have that. We don't normally see it, but when your kicker doesn't normally wear number 70 either.
No. Doesn't usually play a fair bit on the line in between his special teams duties. Now, there are some very unique Australian elements to this game of American football. The kicking game is, at best, an adventure, is fair to say.
Yes. I mean, your training time is limited.
Yes.
Your training time is limited, so most of the kickers in this league, it's completely natural ability. They're not doing what, higher level kickers do and spending an hour just kicking through and kicking through. It is literally, it's on the day.
Yeah. So the Hogs down 6. They'll go to the ground early. He fumbled it and he's broken it open. He's dashing down the sideline. And a touchdown saving tackle by number 44. That was Francisco Wanganeen on Thomas Tunno, I think. A flag is back. First one we've seen, that's back at the line of scrimmage.
That feels like a holding to me, Phil.
That's usually where they're at, unless penalties declined. It was actually offside, I think, against the Eagles. Hogs rightfully declined it.
So you can see the chain crew on the field. That is the Spartans. So of the teams that aren't playing in the Southern Bowl, or I think it's the losing semi-finalists, just as a punishment, they run the they run the chain crew. Now the Spartans started dressing up as a chain crew about 2 years ago, and it's become a trend in that club.
A bit of a college feel of quirky traditions. Ryan, the quarterback, eludes, decides it's a nice afternoon to go for a run. Spins and almost lived to regret it. Got down just in the nick of time as Tamoki Tuikaba was fast ascending. That's still a good gain, and I reckon that's another first down, Hogs.
Talking about coaches, I know that the Hogs sideline would have been just pleading for him to slide. I'm not sure what the backup situation is like, but you certainly don't want your starting quarterback running upright into this linebacker group. On
your second offensive play of the grand final. All right, so it was about a 2nd and 3. Offside again, I reckon, against the Eagles. There's a throw across the middle, a bit high as the adrenaline takes effect. Probably all the best because the intended receiver pretty well covered in Henry Olsen. Hogs will take the 5 yards from the offside.
They are very, very keen. The moment that Eagles defensive line. Talk about that passing game as well. Is everyone watching? Everybody loves watching football for the passing game. Look, if we had 4 quarters of running is its own wonderful and beautiful beast, but people want to see the passing game. It is one of the most difficult skills in sport, let me tell you.
Spoken like a true quarterback, Dave. Ryan, the short pass wants some value out. Olsen will surge across, I think that's the 15 down to about the 14. If you just joined us, Adelaide University tried an onside kick that Eagles started at their own 45, marched down very impressively for a touchdown, a good mix of run and pass, and the Hogs are doing exactly the same here on their first touch of the football.
Yeah, if you've ever thrown a football in the park and you think, hey, I could do that, then I want you to do it within less than 1 second, pick who's open, and do it while there's approximately 1,000 pounds of human being trying to take your head off.
Yes, it is a bit different when you're in a game time situation. They've got the pass out. A lot of sideways movement, not much north-south.
Yeah.
I reckon there might be a loss on that play in the end as Tuikaba comes in on the tackle of Thomas Tunno.
You want to talk about chalk and cheese? Talk about the running backs. The running back for the Eagles is a hard-nosed north-south. Yeah. Make me a hole, and if there is no hole, I'm going through it anyway. I'm
going to create one
versus Thomas Tunno, who is far more elusive.
But so far been really well. He had that strong opening run to start things off and actually took the time to do almost an Aussie rules bounce or a basketball dribble along the way.
That's the nerves and the adrenaline that you can see, just that snatch and go and win it, Mitch.
Towards Olive, has he got it? Yes, he has. Touchdown, Hogs in the airport corner. It's a tied ball game. The Hogs a chance to take the lead with the extra point attempt.
Hey, I tell you what, we'd go for a Henry Cooper, Muhammad Ali punch out, wouldn't we? Just haymaker after haymaker, we'll do that. But you talk about weapons in this game. Mitch Olive, the number 89 for the Hogs. As a quarterback, that's wonderful. If you've got the time, you just put it in a spot and say, Mitch, go get it.
Yep. He's got the height to match anyone and the aerobic capacity to pick him in any direction. He's not bad as a kicker either, I might add. And just like that, the Hogs take the lead 7-6, which was the score in the second ever Gridiron SA Grand Final. I know, because my team, the Breakers, went undefeated that season.
Breakers are the ones who wore green, weren't they?
Green and gold. Based generally down Brighton or the west side of the city. And, did not allow a touchdown and did not allow the offence to score, the opposing offence to score in the Grand Final. Lost it on an interception and a successful conversion.
Extra points, 2 of them. That's unusual to see. We don't normally see the kickers get their day out in the sun.
Yeah, no, they can. We've had a few close Grand Finals in our day. That was the closest. I think we haven't had any other 1-point games. Did have one that went to overtime.
May have been involved in that, Phil.
Might have been. Just realised.
Let's not talk about that one.
Yeah, let's not talk about that one.
Still a day that lives in infamy.
Yeah. Yes. Almost led to the start of instant replay decisions in Gridiron SA. But
literally, I mean, I think there was people showing referees a still camera image on that day. But of course, Spacequake Sports today, looking after us.
I hope you're enjoying the coverage wherever you may be watching. And I know for these kind of games, it's all over the planet. Don't know how they find out about it, but
social media is a wonderful thing. Mitch Olive.
Yeah.
Touchback from Mitch Olive.
Now, is that a strong breeze from the north?
It is. You know, it's blowing my hair out of my eyes, which is nice.
You and me both.
But yes, it's certainly, it is that wind.
So both teams offensively out of the blocks, very strong early.
I tell you what needs to happen for both of these teams, and what both of these teams will want to do, is keep the defences on the field for a long time. A good long drive from the Eagles now, and it would appear that their running game will allow them to keep that defence on the field. The more tired you can get them. Yes, it's great to score touchdowns, but again, Great Southern Bowl, you've got to think a little bit tactically. Sam Crummy now will want to keep this defence out there for as long as they can.
3 receivers across the field. There's Crummy. Throws on first down now. Let's look for some yards after catch.
The screenplay, a very, very popular play at this level. If you get the screenplay right and you get your blockers in the right position, then you can make big, big yards.
Seb Burford, the receiver there, and I've seen Seb pull off some very exciting gridiron plays in his days, not just for the Eagles, but also for South Australia. They can get him in the game. They're halfway there, the Eagles.
Look as well for building on that screenplay and then faking the screen and losing someone deep.
Tajano still going. How many is it taken to get him down here? About 2 or 3.
We are on the Eagles sideline as well, so maybe he heard that I said he wasn't as elusive as Tunno, and he's just done that to prove me wrong. But great footwork from the big fella, showing he's got a bit of both. A JCB engine on Bally shoes.
Gain of about 7, 3rd down and 1. Eagles converted. Only had 1 3rd down on their last drive, which they did convert. And I guess now this is the rivalry of Gridiron SA, isn't it?
It is now.
Yeah.
I mean, look, there will always be a soft spot in my heart for the Spartans. Big Spartans news came out after the end of the regular season. Big football news, in fairness. Australian gridiron. Big Australian gridiron news, to be fair.
Yeah. So it was the Hogs and the Breakers early days, then probably the Hogs and the Spartans. Now it's the Hogs and the Eagles. Here's our first punt away. Olive with the catch. So he's so multi-skilled. Receiver, punt returner, kicker. Does he ever get a break off the field?
I mean, he's an athlete, and that's the big thing. And I was talking to Stephen Draper. I'm going to go Stephen Draper. His dad's name's Guy. I was talking to Stephen Draper before the game, and we were talking about the fact that generally what happens is that the Hogs have an absolute outstanding talent. I think back when we were playing, they had the big Jaden, whose name escapes me probably because he knocked me out that many times. He was their key on offense and defense. They had, if you remember, the one of the first live stream grand finals, they had the double-barreled receiver from Canada.
Yeah,
and there was they generally have individuals that you could put as many people as you want on them. Famously, I think it was Ochocinco said, you know, if I'm double teamed, I'm still open. You know, they had players like that. Less so, it appears less so over the last couple of years, but Mitch Olive certainly is one of those people who you can put him anywhere. You know, you ask him to go and play centre, I think he would.
Got the height, not so sure about the build, but I'm sure I'd give it a crack. Yes, that name is going to make me think all day. I know exactly who you're talking about, and I cannot place the name. Anyway, that's what happens when you do it for 38 years. It all sort of molds into one.
I mean, I am keeping an eye on the Facebook chat, so if anybody's watching and can help us out with those names.
Who was the Hogs superstar a couple of years back on offense and defense?
Yeah, well, he was Jaden something.
Yeah. Well, here's their current star, Tano, who's again made the first couple miss.
Tell you what, he's
makes
so
the chain
quick.
crew scatter.
So contain is a word that you will hear around coaches, and what contain means is that you want to stop the runners being able to get outside. If Thomas Tunno can break that contain most of the day, then it's going to be a long, long afternoon for the Eagles secondary, because they're going to be chasing that number 2 up and down.
He's already done it 3 times. I think the Hogs have found a bit of a weakness on the left side of their line. Currently with a 1-point lead and the ball in Eagles territory, 1st and 10. We're on the play action, looking all the late flag.
Have they got PI on that? Pass interference is the one. I'll try and explain as well. Jaden Vyers, thank you very much. That one came from Michael Tedmanson. Talking about losses in South Australian Gridiron.
Yes.
Teddy played his last season this year. Hands like shovels. Honestly, they're massive. Like 2 of mine together.
Yep.
You'll be missed.
He could both throw the ball very well and catch the ball very well. You just wanted to clone him so he could throw it to himself.
I tell you 2 things there. Kai Cooper has been caught for the pass interference, had an armful of shirt. When the flag was thrown, Kai Cooper put his hands behind his back, tried to make himself as small as possible. He gave himself up, really.
Too late, she cried. So you can see the goal line there. What are we, about the 25, I reckon? Do you have a slightly blocked view of this? They've gone to Tano. He's the man again, finds some yardage on the chain crew side. He's down to about the 10.
Hey, Francisco Wangani makes another tackle, but I tell you what, Tono's going to have some bruises he didn't have this morning.
You see now, so quick to that outside, quite happy to take on the tackler and bounce out of bounds. One of those that probably hurts the tackler more than the tacklee. Is that a word?
But yeah,
it is.
I'll take it
today. So, are we going to see some defence sometime this afternoon? The offences have been running up and down this field at Ellis Park. It's 2nd and 2 at about the 12.
It is like watching Rocky IV at the moment, isn't it?
Flag on the
there's
play,
that Olive thing again.
And he's
just throw it up. You can't leave him one-on-one.
Touchdown is the call. There was a flag thrown right at the snap, which usually means offside. Let's just wait for official.
If they don't wave it dead, then it's an offside rather than a false start.
Yeah, offside it is. Touchdown stands. It's 13-6 Hogs.
So that's 2. It's almost a carbon copy.
Yeah, one was at the front end of the end zone. That was out the back. And Olive going for 2 for 2 on the extra points. Certainly up enough. And straight enough, Oliver's 14 points, the Eagles 6. And after throwing the first punch, it's been all the Hogs in the last 10 minutes or so of this great Southern Bowl. Nice cooling breeze coming now.
When I got up this morning, well, I say got up this morning, it was close to afternoon when I woke up. It's the perils of working nights, Phil. It was hot, and I was a bit worried about how, these players were going to go. However, getting down here, the cloud cover's over, so we're not in full sun, and there is a breeze.
Ellis Parko venue, our new central venue, where Gridiron SA's generally had one venue. This is the 7th they've had, from Norwood to Theberton to the Pines, Richmond Oval, Victoria Park, last year's grand final, Riverside Oval at Port Adelaide.
They were down at West Beach as well. I know that they played at Noarlunga as well at some point.
Couple of one-off games.
Well, they were trying to bring the Southern Oilers a little bit, because they're the ones who have to travel. Bless them.
Yep.
We've been missing them for a couple of years. Are they back?
3. No, they're. I think they're just about done. They had a couple of good tries. I mean, trying to do it during COVID wouldn't have been easy.
Yeah, that's a good kick as well from Mitch Olive. Leave that one. That's going to be another touchback.
Yeah. Who's your MVP at the second?
How long do I have to think about it, Phil?
2 touchdown catches, 2 extra points, 2 booming kicks into the end zone. He's actually going to the sidelines. He's actually going to get a... Oh, no, he's not.
No, because he'll be
He'll be playing somewhere on D.
Is he?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
So the team numbers look decent for both sides. They look like they'd have enough to run a scrimmage against each other with a few to spare. Eagles probably another 4 or 5 players to the Hogs.
And that's incredibly important throughout the year, because that gives you your quality of training that you can get. If you're running against half a defensive line, or no secondary or only secondary, then what you're doing during a training session is limited.
It is one of the things about the sport at this level here, is that coach has plans for practice but has to wait to see how many turn up, if they can be implemented. Okay, it's in the air. It's a bit of a wobble. It's an interception by Olsen. Here comes the run back. Is it a pick six? No, it's a big...
I tell you,
that was the quarterback.
Yep, when you throw an interception, the red mist descends, Phil. And most of the time, you get away with it. I mean, historically, you get away with it. I didn't. I ended up with 3 broken ribs and saw myself out of the grand final that year as well.
You were told never try and tackle anybody again.
I was definitely told off after that one. But Sam Crummey I tell you what, if you want to talk about technique, Sam Crummey's hit.
Is this going to be a flag for something? Oh, it's against the Hogs.
It's against the Hogs, so they're going to just take back. So the interception will stand, just the return will come back. He had him. We talked about that wheel route. That's that wheel route again, and he had him. Crummey throwing into the wind. I didn't quite see. I've got a feeling it was back foot.
It wasn't one of your perfect spirals.
Look, I don't know whether it was back foot, but it feels a little bit like he was on the back foot.
It was a wobbler.
And it died on the way there into this wind, but he had him open again. Yeah. That wheel route, watch it, ladies and gentlemen, that wheel route for the Eagles is going to be a weapon. The problem is, we're in Mitch Olive territory again. Throw it at the pylon, let him go and get it.
Yeah. Maybe set up a few runs first, which is what they do to Tano, who actually was tackled by the first person, but still manages to get a few extra yards.
So they can whistle if they believe that momentum has stopped?
You had a go at officiating?
I did have a go. My problem is time.
Yeah.
Young family.
My problem was I did it in Queensland for I had a couple, and I was independent down there, so I didn't have a bias. I didn't have the patience. I think when one coach called me a cheat, I kind of lost it. Threw a flag, threw a cap. I don't know what else I threw, but shoe
is the next.
Shoe is next. Oh,
shoe is next.
That's the ultimate. I always did wonder what comes after the flag and the cap.
Yeah, shoe.
Okay.
No, that's a false start because they've blown it dead.
Yes, exactly. Offside, they'll let it go. Offense gets the free play.
While we're here as well, it's just a who's who of names of people. Obviously, they're my friends, so I know they're watching this stream, but Ben Martin is in the stream, who's had his trajectory upwards has been incredible over the last couple of years, Ben Martin. He's one to watch out for at a state level. And lovely to say hello to JB as well, someone who we went head-to-head with for the Eagles over the last couple of years. He talking about MVPs, I think Offensive Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year at one point.
Ryan back under a tiny bit of pressure, got the throw away. Nicely caught out there by Matthew Jeffrey. Is it enough for a first down? I don't think so, because they're already 3rd and long. So this is an interesting decision now. It's going to be 4th down and about 10, I think.
I mean, with the wind and with it being a bowl final, I would be certainly looking at taking the points. I mean, what are we looking at? A 44-yard field goal? Look, with the wind and seeing his kickoffs, it's there.
Started by the time clock. That'll change the thinking.
Certainly wouldn't be worth burning a timeout for that. Look, we'll probably be able. If we just had the president of Gridiron SA come over and ask us to keep an eye out for MVP, we could probably give you an answer right now at the moment. We'll stick a fork in it. Look, that's a bit early, but certainly the early contender. He's jumped out of the box very, very early.
Absolutely, and you always, when you think about these MVPs, you do it late, and what happens late is foremost in your mind. But really, what you should be doing is thinking about who was at their best when the game was on the line. And look, also in contention, that Santa Claus chain crew is, as they just walked past here, is mightily impressive.
That would be a bowl first, wouldn't it? Giving the MVP to the chain crew.
It's not actually, because year 3, the MVP used to be the President's Award, and the President of the League used to give the MVP of the league. Year 3, he gave it to the Spartan cheerleaders. Most valuable participants was his theory of it. And that's how the All-Star team came up after that. President never had another say in an MVP ever again.
I think, just a score update, I think we are right. It's 2 extra points. They did get the 2 extra points.
Yes, they did. It is 14
so it's 14
to 6.
points to 6. Well done, our eagle-eyed viewers. I tell you what, if you want to check whether anybody's watching, get the score wrong.
That's are you awake test?
Yeah, if you want traction from your viewing audience, have the score wrong. Everybody becomes a critic. Thank you very much, Carol Galley, for keeping an eye on that for us.
Or mispronounce the name of their son.
That's true. That is also true.
All right. So it is 3rd down. I got ahead of myself. The chain crew were working super efficiently.
Well, there we go. So that changes things massively. But we are still in Mitch Olive territory. He's looking at him. He didn't look at anybody else.
Still incomplete. So now we've got the 4th down decision we were mulling out about before. I don't think field goal with this breeze is an option. It's just a case.
I tell you what is an option. But again, you'd have to be somebody very good at it, is a pooch punt. If you could get this to land in the 5, almost like a rugby up and under, and give the Eagles an incredibly long field, that was back foot. So that's why he's not managed to get that to Mitch Olive. And I tell you what, if he goes front foot, that's another touchdown for Mitch Olive. But the D-line managed to get in his face and get him on the back foot.
All right, 4th down and 10. The Hogs are going for it. They need 10 yards to keep the ball. Eagles looking for their first stop.
Offsides again.
Offside will be 5, but it is 4th and 10.
Free
Another
play.
flag. Ryan's off and running. And that's going to be mighty close. There's flags all over the field. There's 3 I can see.
I think it's going to be the first time I'm going to say this today, but offside on 4th down. Coach killer.
At least it wasn't 4th and less than 5.
Yeah, for offside on 4th down. I feel for every single coach watching this right now.
Yeah. So we're going to have another 4th down, and if the Hogs are encouraged to go for it on 4th and 10, they'll definitely go for it on 4th and 5, you would think. Don't see too many comebacks from more than 2 scores. Get those 2 touchdowns up. And You'll win 98, 99% of your games in this competition. Ryan across the middle. Is that Olive again? Who else?
Yeah.
I'm just checking, are there any other receivers out there? Actually, it's not Olive on this occasion.
82?
82, yeah.
They're testing you today, aren't they, Phil?
Isaiah. Yes. I should have done my homework. I should have done both sidelines and gone through the entire roster. But this is how things came together a little late.
They did.
Today. We're just glad to be bringing this to you. New venue to do the live stream with. Old crew.
Yeah, we're at ground level today, so we are relying on the overhead camera to see as much as we can.
Fumble by Ryan as the poise to pick it up and just forget about the receivers, just take off.
Not the prettiest slide I've ever seen, but about as safe as Patrick Ryan could be.
You reckon he could do a little bit of work on his slides?
It's not something we do. But it's interesting, the number of offsides that we've had today. Again, the offensive line have so much to think about. I know that, when you watch this on TV and when you watch this now, it just seems like chaos. Trust me, it's not. Next breakdown, I'll just talk you through a little bit.
There's, 10, 11 different battles. That's the chaotic nature of it. This is Olsen. He gets inside the 10.
Yeah, John Sevo with the tackle, but the number of offsides. So the offensive line will have a blocking. They'll have blocking stuff that they need to think about, their jobs that they need to think about on the line. But then they will also need to think about what's called the snap count. And the snap count is how many times the quarterback basically says hut, whichever one does it. Because they have so much to think about, generally they'll go on one.
They're 7 yards away from a 14-point lead. And then some maybe. They go to Tano, who gets inside the 5 down to the 4. There's the kicker again making the tackle.
Again, if your kicker's playing linebacker, I don't think they get that tip of the hat.
Benjamin Taylor.
But if you have the ability as an offensive line to change your snap count so you can go on 1 or 2 or 3 or set, and you can change that snap count, then the ability to draw that defensive line offside starts to become an option. Because at the end of the day, if you can only go on 1, and again, this isn't a criticism of an offensive line, there is so much going through their heads, and it's not a position I would ever want to play, then the defense can read that. If you can go on more than 1, offsides are going to become a weapon for you.
Ryan keeps to the back of the end zone. Is that the hat trick?
It is, yeah.
It is. Mitch Olive, 3 for 3.
In 2 quarters.
20-6 Hogs. And that Hogs offensive line, I mean, they've mostly been around for a little while now. I'm sure Coach Lieberens would get him out to training. They get to practice that. Patrick Ryan's been the quarterback for 3 years.
It's so much settled. Space for him as well in there. I mean, we've shown... At this point, the Eagles probably have to really think about double teaming. Now, that causes you a problem because that makes a space somewhere else.
Yeah. Olive is... No, he's
good.
Missed. Oh, could be a... Oh, late flag. He might get another shot here.
A little bit of chatting on the O-line as well. A little bit of chatting on the line.
But let's find out.
I wonder whether there was a little bit of chirping.
Possibly a tad too early for that. I mean, it's been a very high-scoring game. The highest scoring grand final we had as a total was 85 points. So we're sort of on track for that at the moment, at 20-6.
There have been... The Hogs, I think historically as well, are a team that doesn't like to get beaten. They have had such a grip on this competition and such a grip on the Great Southern Bowl for years and years and years. If you dare to challenge them, God, Lord, they will come out the next year and cause you a problem.
They then set up the next dynasty pretty much. No team outside of the Hogs has ever won back-to-back championships. And I think the biggest gap between Hogs championships is 3 seasons back in the early days when the Spartans won in season 5 and the Breakers, I think, won in season 6. I mean, they're a phenomenal team that continues to regenerate at a championship level.
So that is 20 points to 6. Now, $35-17 last year to the mighty Eagles, so that's quite high scoring. Andrew Seaborn as well saying, just watch the ball, it's that simple on D-line. Yeah, I get it, but they are always looking for a little bit of an advantage. So, you know, if they can go on the B of bang, as it were, they'll go.
Andrew Seaborn, very much the veteran for the Eagles over, I'm trying to think how long he played for, would have probably have double-digit years, I'd suspect.
Somebody else who I knew up close and personally on a number of occasions.
Too close for your liking, I suspect. Yeah, last year's grand final was fascinating. It was 17-14 Hogs with 5 minutes to go in the third quarter, and then the Eagles threw a huge pass, couple of turnovers, scored 3 touchdowns without reply. Now they're the ones that have to put some touchdowns in a row to get back into this one.
I'm not sure about the tactic, Phil. I don't know whether I like it. He was looking for a gap, but you cannot trust the American football to bounce where you want it to bounce. If that kicks out of bounds, it's another penalty and it's another short field. Even because it's a short kick, what do we, you know, it's still a relatively short field.
I think we're about to
witness an
inquest. Huddle here.
Yeah, I think we're about to witness a defensive inquest here. Which is probably what they need right now. But the problem is, as a defense, they're not, you know, you wouldn't say that defensively they're breaking down. But you've got Mitch Olive, who is incredibly good at what he does.
It's been touchdown, punt, intercept. Gargiano, you think if the Eagles would have any chance, he's going to play a huge role and has to do it for 4 quarters. Gets the first down and the chain crew's on the move. You
talk about drives though. I think the last time we saw Crummy with ball in hand was the interception, and that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So the Hogs doing what we said, and they kept that Eagles defense on the field. I mean, we saw them come off and they did have a mini inquest in front of us, and they looked like they've been playing football.
Still a tiny bit of cloud cover, a cooling breeze, but it is going to get hotter, I reckon, the longer this goes on. Clearing skies is the weather forecast.
It is only going to get hotter. That's the problem here. And, you know, as much as we would love the money to completely air condition a stadium like is going on in a different part of the world, I'm still intrigued to see how effective that is. Yeah, that's what made me think about it, actually.
We are in the flight path here as that play is met at the line of scrimmage, gain of maybe a very hard yard.
Yeah, and this is the thing, and the Hogs can get on top of you very, very quickly. Very famously, Tiger Woods talked about his golf game, and he said every single shot, I don't think about the shot before. He said, so it doesn't matter what I've done with that first shot, I will talk to my caddy about anything but golf, and then I approach the next shot as if it's that shot in singularity. The Hogs can get on top of you very, very quickly, and if you start thinking back about how difficult a day it's been, then you can find yourself under the pump very, very quickly.
I think the Hogs have an amazing habit at, especially grand final day, as Crummy goes back to pass. His first one in some time, not too far the reach of Draper. They'll try that again at some point. They won the toss and deferred to the second half, which is the new way of thinking, but they've done that in a couple of grand finals and really used it to great effect. Build that momentum around the half-time period.
Crummy has got the wind at his back now, and Draper needs to know that. There was almost a point where watching that Draper got to around 15 yards and thought, well, this isn't coming my way, and you saw him kind of back off and switch off. And then Crummy, if he kept going, that's 6.
That is 6, and we've got a ball game again. Very important. The Eagles are the next team to score. And probably that they have a drive, as you mentioned, David, that's going to put the Hogs defence out there a bit.
There's something going on that we can't see because of the sideline, but hands were up around the face mask again on Gangiano. Yeah, just there they were up. I'm wondering why there were afters. I don't know whether we can see anything on it, but saying it's still, there's a big block in the back there. 76, if that's the flag. And then something to the left happens and everyone gets the knickers in a twist. But there's a huge block in the back from Nanai. They'll be discussing what they've seen. I think we're looking at more than one penalty on this one, Phil.
Yeah, either that it's what the options are, but this is taking longer than your standard one. Simon Pollett, who is probably the guru when it comes to the intricacies of American football rules.
Well, when you have penalties on both sides, so again, just trying to do gridiron rules for dummies. So
good luck.
The penalties have a yardage attached.
Yes.
So if there is a face mask, that's a big one. That's 15 yards. So that would be 15 yards to the Hogs. But if the Hogs have then committed another penalty that is a 15-yard penalty from a defensive point of view, then those penalties offset.
Yes.
So there is no movement of the ball because they go forward 15 yards, then they come back 15 yards. Where it becomes complicated is if there is a 15-yard penalty for the face mask, and then there's a 10-yard penalty for the block in the back, then we've got to work out the spot of the ball. So it depends on how many penalties, which way they've gone, what the yardage on the penalties are. So look, at this point, if it was me, if we've reached a minute and a half discussing this, I'd do the old volleyball player, let's stick 2 thumbs up in the air and let's just do it again and behave yourself, gentlemen.
Now, the other thing that does come into play, and you've done it for dummies, now we'll go for beginners, is when you throw in the live ball and dead ball penalties.
Yeah, because it was a run, the clock would have kept going, so now they have to work out what time is on the clock. You'll notice there's not...
So initially it's a holding call against the Eagles, then there's an unsportsmanlike against the Hogs, and second unsportsmanlike against the Eagles.
So those will offset, so we just go back to the first penalty. Third down. So the only penalty that counts is the holding.
Yeah, so we stay third down, and I'm assuming that we're going to go back 10 yards for the Eagles, which we are. So very glad that announcement matched what you said and what I said.
It's almost like I know what I'm talking about.
You're never 100% sure.
I know. Monday Night Football, I'm available. If you're watching.
All right, so this is for me, this is a big third down play. The Eagles have to
It's a huge third down
keep possession of the ball, move it down the field, have to be the next team to score.
Crummy does have a cannon in that right arm of his. If they can get beyond it looks like they're playing 1 too high. Oh, he has to scramble.
Intended for Mitchell Gavros, had 2 Hogs to beat, couldn't beat him, and it's going to be 4th down, and I would suggest we're going to see a punt given the ball is in Hogs territory at the 42-yard line.
Now, I'm not a mind reader, but I reckon I can tell you exactly what is going through the head of Sam Crummy. He's scrambled, and if you hit both of your receivers' hands, that has to be a reception.
He was very close to throwing beyond the line of scrimmage. Nathan Hartman, number 1, the man there on D for the Hogs, breaking up the possible reception.
Look, I reckon there's going to be a pretty wide grey area on the line of scrimmage and throwing beyond it. Again, we're not the NFL. We don't... Oh, my Lord, that's beautiful.
That is a huge punt.
Oh, and it sits absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
I tell you what, underrated, Phil. And as one of the only punters to get a highlight in a grand final, I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Michael Dixon, eat your heart out. That was a Seattle special.
That was beautiful. Had the spiral. The spiral point just gives you a little bit more control of what the bounce does. It generally will hold its line on the bounce.
Umpires have called a timeout here. Just wondering if we're having a water break or not.
Potentially. I mean, it's going to be there.
But
I mean, they'll probably have a hot weather policy anyway with it being forecast over. Was it forecast over 30 today?
35 today.
Yeah, so there'll definitely, when it's forecast 35, there'll definitely be something involved in that for local sports.
This reminds me a little bit back of the league's early days at Theberton when we had 6 teams. The South City Chiefs and the Elizabeth Lions came in.
Oh.
We had a double. We played in summer. We played October to March, so there were some stinking hot days. The third game was 12 o'clock on a Sunday.
Jesus.
In the middle of Theberton Oval, and there were some hot ones in that. You never wanted to be allocated the Sunday game. And eventually they worked out, hey, look, rather than playing Sunday, why don't we just play Friday night instead and make it easier?
I know that they moved towards a night grand final, and they wanted that. And look, from a playing point of view, it's a wonderful idea because it will never be as hot. You then have to find a venue with good lights. The other thing is with Gridiron is you're not finishing until 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And I guarantee you, if you win this thing, you want a little bit of time to celebrate.
Yeah, that's why you never have those Sunday games are always lunch. And I mean, the thing is, you pretty much needed Sunday to recover anyway. I assume a lot of the players did. Because everybody here has something else they do outside of play this game.
Sounds like an offside game. Yeah. Oh no, it'll be a false start because they've blown it dead.
Unless there was contact along the way.
Which is then called an encroachment. But that feels like a false start. There we go.
Yeah, well done.
And the false start generally comes from a nervous offensive line.
Well, this is a bit of a danger zone for the Hogs. They're backed up inside their 10-yard line now.
We are in safety territory, and I think, as far as leagues go, I don't think I've ever seen as many safeties awarded as are awarded in this league. 2 points for a safety.
It's usually it's the
I tell you what, the Eagles would not have wanted that whistle to go. They've blown it for stop and move it forward. He could have got, well, he would have gone.
Okay, so they're out to the 10. Second down and about 9 now. Yeah, most of the safeties, it's not so much the quarterback getting, tends to happen on the special teams play. I used to find the punter, those long
fumbled snap in the end zone.
The long snapper would get nervous, the punter would get nervous, one of them would staff up 2 points.
I know I intentionally gave away a safety once, much to the chagrin of my team, but
Ryan rolls out, has a very open receiver, and I reckon that's a first down.
I reckon.
Yep, first down Hogs, and that little pressure that they had just for a moment's now been relieved. Great catch by Keita Aizawa.
Yeah, and it feels like a wheel route again. To be honest with you, it's probably one of the most dangerous routes. So there's a lot of talk about the Pines and it being the best atmosphere, and with my corporate hat on, it's now called Mate Stadium.
Mate State. So what's Mate?
Mate is an internet provider.
Okay, thanks for clarifying.
Oh, he has. He's broken that contain.
Introduces himself to a few of the Eagles on the sideline. Olsen found the first down marker, ran straight at it. He did run out a couple of yards beforehand.
That end around or a reverse, a reverse with a wide receiver is even harder. The end around is generally your tight end will come and take directly from the quarterback. Generally, it's a lot of running for not much yardage. Especially if you're looking at a reverse as well with your wide receiver coming all the way. Unless you are absolutely breaking it, it's a lot of risk and not much reward for me.
That one a gain of 7, which is, you'd be happy with 7 yards on a first down run.
You only need 2 of them. Don't know. They faked the end around that time, I tell you what.
Eagles reasonably awake to it.
Kai Cooper bit hard on the fake. If we see the replay, you'll just see the number 6 in the middle of your field, and he bit hard on the fake. And I tell you, if they get through that first line, that's going a long way. Looks like everybody bit on the fake. A camera operator bit on the fake as well.
I don't know. Camera operator in this sport, you'd want to pick your spot.
Yeah. 16, 14 plus 6.
Just sinking all the scoreboards.
Oh, there's an intercept.
Here we go.
I tell you what, that's Thomas Tunno. I have to be honest here, Phil. The first penalty that I see is targeting by 2.
Okay, and there's a very late flag.
Personal foul ejection. That's the first one I see. You cannot hit somebody in the head, regardless of what body part it's with. 36 coming to James Paul coming to the assistants, but you watch that first hit. It's head neck area. If that is targeting, what we're going to look for is the umpire to put the fist to the side of his head.
Let's remember, they're seeing that in real time. They're going to think long and hard before ejecting a player, and they don't have the ability to check a replay.
No, and I'm with you, but in real time, I saw it as targeting.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. I don't think the crew will look at targeting. We certainly don't want to be ejecting players in the Great Southern Bowl.
The reason I said is, if you're going to eject a player, in any game, especially grand final, you want to be 100% sure in your mind.
You do.
That it's blatant, and
I don't think it's blatant, and he's going
speed,
down, but you cannot hit people in the head.
That's a general rule of life, yes.
No, I mean,
yes.
and with Gridiron, it's gone that far.
Exactly.
But
you know, in college football,
I don't know at what point the flag came out.
Well,
if the flag has only come out,
there's 4 of them on the field.
4 of them will have potentially come out for the reaction of James Paul.
Yeah. So
you're just wiping out a good return if that's the case. So let's just see whether we can see a flag anywhere earlier.
Okay, so the umpire right in front of...
because he would have thrown a flag if he's seen targeting.
Correct. And being the closest, he'll probably get a little bit of a say in the huddle. Because the other thing is that the angle that we have and the angle that some of the officials have is 180 degrees different.
Also, as well, I need to make this clear. It's Matt on this near side. On it, his surname has escaped me somewhat. The official.
It's probably best we don't give the officials' personal details.
Well, I'm not going to give his address and phone number, but on this side, you might look at that and go, well, what on earth is he looking at? It's happened that there. He might not be looking at the ball carrier. His job might be an area behind the ball carrier. The ball carrier might be somebody else who's looking at that. So that might not be why he's thrown it. Targeting number 2, unsportsmanlike number 2, and unsportsmanlike number 36 is one option that we've had from a watcher.
Nominations.
I'd be interested to see from somebody who's a complete neutral. It's nice to have something to talk about, though, Phil, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Controversy creates content. It is a wonderful interception, I have to be honest, because Kai Cooper was absolutely sold down the river on the first one. It's a difficult one because Cooper is falling. It is Thomas Tunno's responsibility not to hit him in the head, though. Okay. That's the way it works, unfortunately. It is difficult. I feel for Thomas Tunno if that's the result, because it is such a bang-bang thing.
And look, the longer that they're taking, they've had both coaches out for a chat. Neither coach particularly, I'm looking at body language here, with neither animated. But the longer they're taking, the more they're writing down, the more you think there may actually be an ejection in here somewhere.
And again, it's such an emotional game, as I've said. Like, you wake up this morning and everything is increased for you. The colours are brighter in the world. The clock seems to move slower on Grand Final day. But at the end of the day, it is his responsibility not to hit him in the head. But then, once you then add into that the response from the Eagles by James Paul, you're then adding all sorts of complications.
That did nothing to help the situation.
No. But if there is an ejection, he is the main running. Block in the back is the first one. We'll try and interpret these as best we can for you. Personal foul.
Okay, so no ejection.
No targeting.
Eagles win the personal foul count 3-1, and they'll be marched 30 yards back.
So he said 15 yards, I think.
So there was 3 against the Eagles, 1 against the Hogs.
But he definitely did an offset, and I think I heard him say 15 yards. He's not mic'd up today, even for the crowd. It causes so many problems when you're trying to broadcast and you have them on a microphone. I'll let you do the counting, but I just want to talk about
it's gone back 30 if you see where it is now.
Yeah, so those personal fouls are purely because everybody had the same reaction as me, which is that's targeting. Yeah. So then we get this
which was
massive,
not called.
No, which is then we get this massive reaction to it. Yeah. Personal fouls all over the place.
Often we find the retaliator is the one who cops the penalty. In that case, it all happened like that.
Everybody retaliated. That was the problem.
There was no foul on the hit. It was all the retaliation that occurred afterwards. Anyway, Eagles get possession of the ball, but they do not have the field position that they were looking forward to about 5 minutes ago.
It's 1st and 10, and I tell you, that sun has come out now, and I imagine it is getting hotter out there, both literally and metaphorically.
Just wondering, that was a fair stoppage in time.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering who that creates an advantage for them. Even losing the 30 yards, I'm thinking maybe the Eagles, because it's usually the team that doesn't have the momentum that wants the stop, that wants the break to reset.
No, the Eagles will not want half-time right now.
They got the win. Can they use it? Oh. Flag on the play.
That potentially could be offensive pass interference. When that ball is underthrown, essentially the wide receiver becomes a defensive back. I mean, that's incidental contact for mine. If they've thrown a flag for offensive pass interference or holding or any level of pass interference, like I said before, just stick 2 thumbs up, play it again. Don't worry about it. Let's just move on. Nobody's winning, nobody's losing.
Lovely throw.
And that's because he's got the time, he's able to step into it. Yeah. So the flag comes in at that. So it feels like it's going to be a pass interference of some sort, offensive. And again,
we've looked at it 3 times and we're still not sure on whom.
We're talking about like a really long conversation about an offensive pass interference here. If you're talking this long, forget it. Pick the flag up and move on. Yep. There's no yardage lost.
Okay. It is pass interference against the D.
Well, that's a big call because that moves the chains.
So I think we're back from where we started after that intercept. It just took us 6 minutes or 7 minutes to get there.
Look, the Gridiron umpires know me, the officials know me, they know I have their back, but we cannot allow the Great Southern Bowl to be decided and for them to have as big an impact.
Yeah. I mean, look,
that's an incomplete pass. Just move on.
If the players are going to blow up at each other, that's one thing, because as umpire, you have a role to sort that out. And in grand finals, usually you let a little bit more go than you might when you're trying to set a standard at the start of the season. Gargiano gets good first down yardage, gain of about 4.
Like we said before, 3-4 yard gains is enough for a first down. Yep. It was something I was going to touch on. I mean, people watching Gridiron love this idea of 40-yard bombs or 90-yard runs. Fundamentally for Gridiron, 3-4 hours, 3-4-yard runs is a first down.
Yep. We're at the 2-minute warning, half-time, not too far away. This is where clock management might come into it for the Eagles. Can they take some momentum into the half-time break? They're a long way to go. 44-yard line of the Hogs. 2nd down and 7. And
I think it's false start, but there was lots of people in the neutral zone.
Was.
But again, unless there's a touch.
The Eagles are conceding. It was us. That doesn't help things.
So I think, talk about hard snap counts. Yeah, look, tough one.
They're at the Hogs 49-yard line, trailing by 14 points. We are in the latter stages of the second quarter of the Great Southern Bowl, the Gridiron SA Grand Final.
Oh, toss.
He's just not got the
time.
He's decided, enough of being quarterback, I'll just do what I do best.
Oh!
And that's run the ball.
I tell you what, when your juke is so good it makes a defender tackle his own player, you've done well. You need to... That... Gaggiano... Look...
Oh, I don't see that too often. All right, got the first down. So now...
You'll see it better on this one.
We haven't seen any timeouts called, I believe, in this half. Both teams have 3.
There it is. Great form tackle as well by Hartman.
Yeah. He wasn't that far away from going the whole hog on that one.
Pun intended?
Yeah. Sometimes I don't exactly think first. Crummy, now back. Oh, it's intercepted by Olsen. He's happy to go for a run himself. Stroll out of bounds. Hand the ball to the coach. Oh, you have it.
So, just keep an eye on this as well. It's really quite interesting. There's just little chips as they go out of bounds. So the last run from Gaggiano, there was a little bit extra as they went out of bounds. That one, as he goes out of bounds, there's just a little bit of a knock for him as he goes. These are the kind of things, and it's almost like an unwritten rule. If you hit me when I'm out of bounds, it's going to cause problems. If you hit, these kind of things are starting... We've already seen more than one blow up in the backfield and little bits of handbags going on. Just keep an eye on it as it gets hotter and hotter.
37 seconds. Thank you. We're
getting timer.
We're getting official time. Thank you. So if you're the Hogs, 37 seconds left. You've got a 14-point lead. You're at this end of the field. Would you just sit on it?
Yep. I mean, I'd be kneeling it out almost.
Yeah, not exactly the Razorbacks / Hogs modus operandi.
I certainly would not throw the ball. Oh, it's a mini crackback. It was a very... Look, there again, it's just out of bounds. Just need to be careful. I guarantee if that happens on the other sideline, things are set.
Yeah. Well, that stops the clock. Seems like he was just happy to waste as many seconds. Just surprised he didn't go down, inbounds.
Yeah, and that's what you need to be doing. I mean, at this point...
This looks more like the take the knee scenario right now.
I'd be sticking big Gavin Jones at fullback and letting him run north-south.
And that should be it for half-time. Lots of scoring in the first quarter. A little bit of drama in the second. And after all said and done, it's a 14-point lead to the minor premiers, the Adelaide University Hogs, leading the defending champions, the UniSA Eagles, 6, Phil Hurd and Dave Webb. We might take a break in a sec, Dave, but just seeing the half overall, what has stood out the most for you?
I mean, I talked briefly, didn't I, at the beginning about how the Hogs generally work around one key player. Today it's Mitch Olive. Yeah. If the Eagles can shut down Mitch Olive, because essentially that's Mitch Olive's 20.
Yes,
the Eagles 6.
All of it.
If they can shut down or tighten up on Mitch Olive, and I know it's difficult. If you see Mitch Olive one-on-one and you're 25 yards out, just hit the pylon and let him go and do his work. If they can fix that and keep the ball out of the Hogs' hands in this second half, this isn't over.
All right. We might take a break. We'll be back with the second half, probably in about 10 to 15 minutes. Hope you're enjoying the Great Southern Bowl. And that's what it's all about, to get that cup. And that, I can tell you, David, that is the cup from year one. It's actually survived 38 years. It's probably showing a little bit of age, but that just makes it more venerable.
Hey, it's not a trophy if it's not got some dings on it,
Exactly.
is it? I mean, if we can get back, and our camera operator is going back, you just look at the number of Razorbacks that are engraved into that.
I can tell you what it is.
Yeah, you can tell me exactly how many there are.
27, either Razorbacks or Hogs. 3 Eagles. These two sides have won the last 17 between them. Hogs 14 and Eagles 3. This is the Hogs' 33rd championship game and the Eagles' 8th. Hogs are 27-5. Now that 27-5 is a decent record, but in a grand final is ridiculous.
I wonder what they're over. I'm not asking you whether you know or not. It would be interesting to see what their overall record is. It's got to be over 500, no?
As in wins?
Every single game they've ever played. Not many of them would be, would they? But over 500.
As in wins?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
More ticks in the win column.
Oh, well, actually, that's an interesting question. I think if you include playoffs, we'd just get there, because we're talking 38 seasons. We did have a couple of years where we got out to about 15 games a season. Now it's 9. It got back to 8 because one got cancelled. Hogs don't play a lot of playoff games because they tend to go straight through.
Yeah, so for people who aren't overly familiar with Gridiron in South Australia, if you win the regular season, you go straight through to the bowl.
Which I think is fantastic.
Gives you that week off. And then second and third will play off for the right to take on the minor premiers.
Yeah. And this year the Hogs were 8-0, the Eagles were 5-3, beat the Spartans 31-0 in what we call the semi or the preliminary final last week.
So I did manage to corral an Eagles player during half-time, and I had one question for him, and it was, how do you solve a problem like Mitch Olive? And he just shrugged at me. Which is, I mean, that's been the talk. I had a chat with the chain crew as well over half-time, and, the overwhelming thing is if you take Mitch Olive out of this game, then it is a completely different ball game. But when you have a weapon like that, as a quarterback, if you know that when you're 25 yards out, you can just run a baby fade and throw it at either the front pylon or the back pylon and let Mitch Olive do his work. There aren't many defensive backs and cornerbacks who, will be able to deal with Mitch Olive one-on-one. Just seeing this as well, Phil, the sidelines, both sidelines. It is a beautiful Saturday afternoon in Adelaide, and the people of Adelaide have come out to watch.
Yeah, this is really good. Of course, don't have the grandstand, but they're sitting along the sidelines pretty much from goal line to goal line, particularly at our end. Plenty of marquees up. It is a day to sit under a marquee with a cold drink, as you can see there. Some of the great Spacequake Sports pictures, and we thank Dave Muggleton and his erstwhile crew. Busy day for them. Gridiron now, they're doing some softball pretty soon. Then they'll be doing with myself a double header of the Australian Baseball League tonight. And Speedway.
I forgot about the Speedway. I've seen it a couple of times. I do, Spacequake Sports is certainly from where it was when I started with them way back when. And I think you're also part of the inaugural.
I bob up from time to time.
But you were part of the inaugural season with baseball and stuff like that as well, that Spacequake started when we really started doing live sport. And, it's reached the point, and for those of you that don't know, today is a gift from Spacequake Sports.
So thank you to the Gridiron SA community to get this game out there. Celebrate 38 seasons of the sport here in the state. Good run back by the Hogs. Now, this is, if Hogs' normal modus operandi, they win the toss, they get the ball second half, this is where they look to put the game beyond all reasonable doubt. Yes.
And I wanted to talk to you about beforehand, because, complete transparency, I've never understood deferment. I don't know what it means.
It means you have the chance, if you time it right in the first half, to have a period where you can put 2 scores on without the opposition touching the ball.
Yeah, I still don't know how it works, because if you kick off first, you're not kicking off again.
I think it also works on the theory that if in a big game, which unit can settle first? And often it's your defensive unit that can settle first. Less intricacies to get right
there we go.
on offense.
There we go, he's open.
And that is almost your ball game on the first play of the second half. Henry Olsen breaks the Mitch Olive monopoly on touchdown scoring with, where was that? That was
It's a long one.
57-yard touchdown pass and run. It's 26-6 with the conversion to come. Maybe that is the answer to your question.
I have to say, and look, we don't really see. Look, we can't see the whole field. That fake run and pass is something that will always cause problems. So, again, trying to make this as layman friendly as possible, you essentially can play with either one or two safeties who are like fullbacks at the back, who look after the last line of defence. And we touched on cover zero, where you take them both out and you don't cover the long throw at all. They're going for two here.
Going for two, which is usually what they do when they miss an extra point. They succeed in that. Everything's coming up Hogs right now.
Again, you couldn't have asked for a better start to the first half. You couldn't have asked for a better start for the second half for the Hogs. The Eagles, with their first start, great whole throwing lane made by the offensive line for him. But just going back quickly, so you generally either have one or two safeties at the back. So you might hear through our effects mics, people saying one high or two high. That's the safeties. They're identifying the safeties. As soon as the safeties identify run, or somebody identifies run, those safeties are going to come in and they're going to come down to try and stop that run play. If you're then passing, then the safeties are out of the game.
Yep.
And it appears for Henry Olsen to be deeper than the safety, that's probably what's happened.
I'm pretty sure I can remember Henry Olsen playing juniors and getting the odd play here or there on the field with the Hogs, and now he's a key man. Now he's got a touchdown in a championship game.
And that is, and that's again, we talked about, that's one of the beauties of, that's one of the beauties of this Hog side, is that their ability to bring the youth through is incredible, year after year.
Yeah. Mitch Olive now, first time he's got a kick into the breeze. He's gone with his little it's a rugby style kick for mine. And you're the rugby guru, David. That little one where it just goes in the air 15 metres or so and everybody runs underneath it. Don't quite have that coordination here.
No,
in American football.
And if you're going to do that, I don't agree with this tactic at the moment.
It's
too deep. He's kicking too deep. From a rugby point of view, and it's something I actually discussed with Andrew Stevens when I was playing and when I was kicking, is because at rugby union it's all drop kicks, and I did discuss it because it's a skill where you get underneath the ball and you drop it on the 10-yard line.
It's a vertical kick, almost.
Yes. The issue with it is, as we've just seen then, is it gives them such a short field. Again, we're just a touch over 50 yards.
And again, my question is, okay, so you're doing that kick, was you hoping maybe the wind would hold it up a bit more and even start blowing it back? That would cause mega confusion.
But you have
just
to,
didn't happen.
You have to be able to challenge for it.
I think the theory might have been interesting, that the execution on that occasion just a little bit on the lacking side. And that's your problem with special teams that we've discussed in Australia.
You don't work on it.
You have enough troubles getting your 22 to training to run a scrimmage offense, defense, special teams if you're lucky. Burford with the handoff. Great tackle behind the line of scrimmage.
That's Trent Hoey, and I tell you what, Trent Hoey has got them out of jail there because they broke contain. The contain was gone.
Back to live action. Trying to break contain on the Eagles sideline. On this occasion, Matthew Jeffrey with the tackle. Not after a solid gain of probably about 4. That was a bit shorter than I thought it was, about 3.
Yeah, so the play before, that one's rather more straightforward, but the play before where they had the end around, the blocking from the Eagles was really, really good. The defensive end was washed out, so contain wasn't there. It's only the fact that Trent Hoey has managed to come through and make the tackle for a loss that saved them at that point. Look, this isn't done. I know you talked about, this being done. It's not done. The Eagles are still in it.
Mathematically, time enough if good enough, just in my time of seeing these games. I mean, I've seen a team come from 28 points down in the third quarter and win a game. I'll give you one guess who that team was. But it's just such a rarity. And in championship games in particular, comebacks of more than 2 touchdowns, almost unheard of. But, hey, you play enough of them, this is the 38th, it'll happen eventually.
So they discussed the spot. The Eagles weren't happy with the spot. Again, layman terms, where the ball is at the end of the play, that's called the spot. You have 4 attempts to move it 10 yards. They were very, very close on that one. The third down did go up. The Eagles sideline also went up. After a short discussion, the ball has been spotted and it's a 1st and 10.
So Eagles trying, they're now in Hogs territory at the 48-yard line. Gridiron again, as he was during that opening run, getting most of the calls with the ball. In fact, I don't think there's been anybody else running the ball so far today.
No, even when he was called to pass, he ended up turning it into a run. But it also looks at the moment that they are, call it stacking the box. So between the hash mark, well, basically between the tackles, the Hogs like to bring a lot of people into there. At the moment they aren't. You can see that they've got all their DBs out.
Oh, almost intercepted. 22 for the Hogs, Tom Snelling.
So, look, I've often described Gridiron as chess with pads on. So what they're trying to do is that they're trying to empty the box. That will give Gangiano room, and if they stack the box, it gives their receivers room. So you want either or. At the moment, it's nicely balanced for them, and Crummy is just trying to work out, and whoever is the offensive coordinator on this side, I don't know who's play calling.
Yeah, I agree with the general concept, but I had one element to that. Is Crummy gets the pass to Pervert, who's got a blocker. He gets an open space, he's dangerous. It is 1st down Eagles. I consider it chess in pads played by humans. Now, because I've never seen my bishop drop a pass.
That's true.
Or, you see some of those pick sixes, or you're watching the NFL, or college football in particular, and games turn on a dime, just like that. Has the strategy of chess, no doubt about it.
Look, and this is now, Sam Crummy needs to take this game on his shoulders.
Georgiano's got that at the moment. He's got through 10. He's made about 4 miss in that, and he's down to the 20, I reckon.
Tell you what, you saw Sam Crummy, who was up and around the spot of the ball. You know it's a big game. Let's see, was Sam Crummy on his way to go and try and find a block. Here he comes. You're going to come. Here he comes, just from right field, and we'll give him that as a block.
Oh, shit. I think he saw one of the Hogs, saw the number and the size, and thought, oh, maybe not him.
I'll go for the little guy.
That's it. Pick your mark, I think. All right, it is 1st and 10. We're inside the 20, what they call the red zone.
Start.
And teams that win championships usually convert red zone opportunities into points.
Yeah, just got a little bit excited at the beginning of that one.
Seen a couple of their drives halted with a false start today. Puts them now 1st and 15.
See, and what we've seen is over the last couple of plays, and again, we have the most intelligent viewers on the planet, by the way, because we are seeing it, is that what we're doing. What's also interesting is I'm not seeing Sam Crummy look to the sideline much, so I think he may be play calling.
Let's see what he dials up here. Pass towards the end zone. Perfect. Oh, he had it and he lost it. That would have been 1st and goal at about the 2.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this isn't AFL. They don't give you a mark just for, getting both hands to it. You have to control it all the way down.
It is the most difficult sport to have a catch. Again, I love the trajectory of the ball. Burford had it, lost it. He'll be disappointed, because that's the kind of plays the Eagles are going to have to make in a bunch.
I tell you what,
in this ball game.
Seb Burford is not a name we've called all day, but it really should be. I really like now that Sam Crummy is really spreading that field. That is going to open up the middle of the field for them eventually.
Feliciano gets a few yards. Hot in pursuit. Keeping with him was Theo Ashley. Eventually came in to help on the tackle.
And again, they're stretching that field. They're looking to run wide. They're looking to stretch the secondary. They're looking to stretch the linebackers of these Hogs, which will open up the middle of the field.
Just trying to see what down we are here. Is this third down coming up?
It is.
Okay. And it's third and long, so you got to get to about the 5, I think, to get a first down.
Does have the wind in his back. And look, Seb Burford is capable of being their Mitch Olive. Get to a pylon and win it, Seb. Set up for a wheel route here as well. Watch the 23 run a slant, and then Burford run to the outside.
I tell you what, you're not far off. You're not far off at all. You got the man right. You got the play right. Touchdown, late flag.
It's going to be the hit after the catch, I think.
I'd say so. Just the drive the Eagles needed to have some hope in this one.
Tony Romo, eat your heart out.
Yeah.
I got the play wrong. I got the pattern wrong, but they were so spread. They've spread them so wide that the gaps have to be there. You see the safeties. So the safeties that we were talking about is 31 of 15, and they were so far apart because the Eagles have managed to spread them, and it's opened that seam in the middle, and Seb Burford has done. If we're completely honest, and Sam Crummy will agree with me, it's not the nicest throw he's ever thrown, but the work is done before that and spreading them as wide as they possibly could.
Flag waved off. I mean, the thing about that throw is there were 3 Hogs in the vicinity.
But it was a very, very big vicinity. And
only Burford could catch that ball. And after dropping the previous, he made sure of redemption. So it's 28-12, 16-point game. They're going to go for the 1-point kick. The first one was blocked.
That one's better.
That one's far better. Officials agree.
When you're extra point kicking and you got the wind at your back, you almost just need to get it up and straight.
Correct.
If you try and drive it, if you try and drive it like the Eagles did in the first half, and I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, there's a big hat tip. I think it's Crummy that's holding. If we see that again, that is not the greatest snap in the world.
Yeah,
not the greatest snap in the world. So to get that
the holder.
Up, yeah, because once that ball's moving, the kicker is in his motion. He cannot stop. So he's got to trust the holder to get the ball where it needs to be when he gets there.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody's seen the Charlie Brown bits. There is a lot of trust that goes into that holder.
As soon as you see the kicker start to shorten his work, you know that it's not going to be a point. Might be a broken play for 2 if you're lucky, but... And it's very un-Australian to be a holder. Like, you're on your knees, you got one ball coming this way, you got someone coming the other way, you got to put it down, pirouette it. It's just... and a lot of Aussie punters have done it brilliantly in the States. But it is a skill that is rather unique.
So, what's the... my maths is shocking.
15.
So, 15 points is the difference.
So they're back to 2 scores.
So they need a 3 and out here.
That will give them some momentum after the Hogs. Well, they had 1 play, 1 touchdown. Mitch Olive can kick, catch, run,
geez.
And there's the kicker striking again. I'm not sure what the rest of the Eagles' kick defence is doing, because I reckon that's Taylor's 4th hit on a kick or punt return.
There was a college team in the US who had a big kicker. I think he's Julius something, and they had a really big kicker. Generally, what happened though is that they started blocking him because he was making big hits. Yeah. And then he started messing around. It was a whole big thing, but yeah, I like it. He's got a big leg and can hit hard. the Eagles' defense is rested. They've been off the field for a long time at the moment, so they're rested. If they get a 3 and out and they can get that Hogs defense back on in short order, we could see some real fireworks.
They've only been out there for 2 plays in the second half. The touchdown pass and the extra point, probably. Because usually your defense will stay for the extra point. That's the usual.
Yeah, you might change a couple. But again, because of how Gridiron in South Australia works, the 2-point conversion is something that we see more than the extra point. But it gets the outside. I mean, you're right. Everyone's doing, from a return point of view, everyone's doing their job. And generally, you leave the kicker alone. Generally, the kicker isn't going to be a big issue. But somebody's going to have to go and start getting Benjamin Taylor at some point.
Yeah. I guess they'll probably take the fact if Taylor's making the hit, they've already got a good yardage, which they have here. 1st and 10 from their own 46 with a 15-point lead. Probably was the latter stages of the third quarter. Tano.
Oh, tell you what. He did all right then because Michael Bates nearly took his head off.
Gain of 3, 2nd and 7 coming up. This is the 6th grand final between these two of the 38. Hogs won the first 5. The first 4 were all won by less than a touchdown. The Eagles won last year 35-17, blew it out late. Patrick Ryan steps
pressure.
back and incomplete. And now we have a play coming up here, David. 3rd and longish.
So
Eagles haven't. How many stops have the Eagles had? I mean, you can't count the one before half time. They actually had a stop. They have an intercept, that's right. So 1 interception, no punts, I'm pretty sure, from the Hogs today.
He's got away with that as well. You know, Pat Ryan has got away with that. We're talking about 3 and out. What 3 and out means is 3 downs and a punt.
Yeah. That is a chance for the Eagles here to get the ball back with a bit of momentum. Hogs need 7 yards. They go to Tano.
They're not going to get it from that.
They're going to get 2 yards. They needed 7. 4th down at midfield for the Hogs.
Yeah, you needed to be a deeper passing play at that point. For some reason, I've never seen a screen go for long yards, especially a receiver screen. You don't see them go for long yards.
Is that because it does... There's a couple of elements to it that have to go right. You have to get your lineman in the right spot, and the defense have to bite.
I mean, they're not biting on anything because it's just a straight screen.
Yeah.
So they get their 3 and out.
Olive's first punt going for the corner straight for the man. That's
so
going to be inside the 20.
Don't mind it from Mitch.
A chance for a return.
I mean, if you're getting 2 or 3 yards from a screen, which I think is probably the most you're going to ask for and the most you're going to get, then if you can consistently get it, then you can run a fake screen with a deep route, which you may then use on 3rd down, I think. But I've never seen a receiver screen in this level go for long yards. Because you're right, there is so much that has to happen so quickly. From a quarterback point of view, you have to get the ball out of your hands so quickly. When you're in a shotgun situation, that means you're not being able to find the laces. Your throw is going to be wobbly. There's a lot that can go wrong with it, and then your block has to be at the right time.
Okay, perfect. He decides he wants to enter the hurdling competition. Didn't get him the first down, but that would have looked spectacular. Let's see.
I mean, he was about to make me eat my words because that was a screen. Again, it was another receiver screen, and the yardage that came was from Seb Burford. So close. I tell you what, it's great work from Nathan Hartman. It literally grabbed him by the bootlaces.
Yeah. Interesting if that had not have been a sideline there, what he could have done with that play, because he did manage to keep his footing. starting to get a bit noisy here on the Eagles sideline. You can just get a feeling, or they're getting the feeling they're not out of this yet.
There has been a momentum shift. There's certainly been a momentum shift, and I'm genuinely surprised they didn't blow that up earlier than they did. I think he almost gave himself up at one point, Gaggiano, and then realised that the whistle isn't coming. Oh, I'll keep going then.
Okay, ball is at the Eagle 30-yard line. They trail by 15. Was as high as 22 at half time. So yeah, there was oh my goodness!
I tell you, if Seb Burford gets that, that's done.
Yeah,
that's on its way. And this is where this dual threat, this hydra that the Eagles have at the moment with Gaggiano, just going to try and... It's the wheel route again. The wheel route is causing so many problems for this Hogs defense. You just see how free he is. Like, yeah. But because like the Hogs are stuck between a rock and a hard place now. Because if they go wide and try and cover Seb Burford really coming into the game, they open up the middle for Gaggiano.
2nd down and 9. It feels closer than the 15-point margin right now. Gaggiano gets past his teammate and his opponent and another opponent, and he's got first down yardage. We're encamped on the Eagles, just behind the Eagles sideline. It is getting noisy here.
I mean, that is... Talked about Southern Bowl and the differences of the day. That's a blown play. He runs into Seb Burford. That is a blown play. That should be a loss, or at least hit at the line of scrimmage. Southern Bowl, it all changes.
Seen lots of blown plays in my time, David, that if the people retain the poise, it turns into something big because the defence suddenly don't adjust to it in time. But now it's first down, Eagles are marching.
Now, we did talk about the clock. The clock starts and stops, which is why you can't see one on your screen. Oh, no, he didn't need it. Trent Hoey with a massive interception. And I was about to say, for this entirety of the third quarter, the Hogs defence have been on. I mean, that's just underthrown from Sam Crummy.
Yes, having thrown. That's his second pick. Both of them really in an uncontested situation. I mean, Hoey was there. Where's the intended receiver would be your first pick.
He's free.
To the left of camera.
He's free. He is gone. Yeah.
So now it's back on the defence to put the stop, and the Hogs
again
a chance to put this away.
Again, watching it, and I just held on my analysis as Sam Crummy walked past me.
Yes.
What's happened, I think, is he's seen Burford, he's seen he's free, and he's rushed, and he's just not got his feet set.
Yep. It's something that people don't appreciate is here's Olsen at the 45. Like, people who watch us think that it's all arm strength, but where you place your feet is so important in getting the right purchase and momentum on the ball as your body swings through it. Good covering pursuit and a flag on the Hogs.
You essentially, what you want to see is a smaller version of a javelin throw. Obviously, it's not as impactful as what you see the javelin, but you will never see a javelinist throw off their back foot. It's always on that front foot, and it's the transfer of weight from back to front that gives you the power. Yes, you can compensate with arm strength to a point, but that's just shown what happens if you miss it.
At a college professional level, when you're spending hours in the gym and professionally guided and those things maybe, but this level, possibly not.
The Eagles need another 3 and out. They have to have a 3 and out.
Well, they've got the first 2.
And I tell you what, that wind has shifted.
So we've had it certainly has.
As if it's blown our monitor over. It's just blowing directly into your camera at the moment.
So This is 2nd and long, 2nd and 20 with that holding penalty. Yeah, we'll take it. Thanks, mate. Thomas Tunnell's lost the ball. There's a ball on the grass, and I think the Hogs got it back. That was on the ground for quite some time.
Yeah, the reaction from the Eagles wasn't quite there.
Lawrence Mayer, number 66, gets the call out, recovering the loose ball.
Definitely a fumble. In this case, the knee wasn't down.
So gained about 9, so it's 3rd and 11 coming up. And we're not even into the final quarter yet. But every 3rd down play now becomes so critical.
It's massively important.
Keep the Hogs on their side of the field. If Olive gets to punt, he's punting into the stronger and stronger breeze.
Yeah, so third and long, yep.
No one in the backfield, bar Ryan. Goes with the pass, knocked away.
That is about as good as it gets from Jesse Whiten. There is a lot of defensive coordinators watching that and silently clapping Jesse Whiten. Watch his break on this ball as it comes down and he identifies the receiver. What's interesting is he at 1st down yardage. He's not even, he's close to 1st down yardage. But you talk about, so I think they're just going to go to a water break. You talk about decisions. That receiver needs
it's
to...
3/4 time.
Oh, is it 3/4?
Yep.
That went by quick, but that's what happens when you control. But it looks like it's going to be another 3 and out. But the receiver has to get past 1st down
there's no
yardage.
point.
Why are you coming back into 4th down yardage?
Situational awareness possibly lacking there, or thought I can make the catch and then make the yards myself.
Not when Jesse Whiten is on his game.
No. So you can see it's 4th and 11. Olive will now get to punt with the wind, which when you're trying to pin it down deep can be both a blessing and a curse. The ball with the wind gets the momentum all of its own, rolls into the end zone.
I have to say right now that the enemy of the Eagles is the clock right now. If you were to ask me, if we remove the score,
play by play,
who
it's
is the best team at the moment? It's the Eagles. The Hogs have gone 2 3 and outs, unless they prove me wrong here. They've gone 2 3 and outs, and the Eagles have driven. Oof.
Taking their time. Olive's kick is a shank.
I know what he's trying to do, and it's what I would have done. It's almost to aim between the hash mark on the sideline and let that wind, because the wind now is blowing directly into our camera. So you just want the wind to bring it back.
But he had a hook on it.
But it's come off his right foot. It's come off the outside of the boot.
And the hook was stronger than the breeze.
Yeah. I mean, the breeze has saved him. The breeze has given him a couple of extra yards.
Just waiting for the chain crew to reset themselves to work out where it is, but it's going to be somewhere in the 30s, I reckon. 34, 35 yard line.
Bang on the 35 yard line.
2-score game. We're into the final quarter of the season. You'd probably prefer to be in the Hog shoes right now. You have the points on the board. And the Eagles probably are only going to get 2, maybe 3 more possessions at most, and they have to score twice.
Yeah.
And that's one of the rare, might even be I can't remember too many plays in the backfield. There is a flag on the play, and that might explain why.
There was a sweep that ended up in the backfield. Yeah, he just missed an assignment. Somebody missed an assignment somewhere. I would suggest it's the fella running downfield with blocking nobody. Yes, somebody just missed an assignment on that offensive line. But yes, there hasn't been many tackles for losses. You're right. You couldn't. I mean, the fact that you can probably name both of them suggests that it's not been a game that has had that. The issue that UniSA now have, the Eagles now have, and I talked about the clock because they have the momentum now. They have to be great from now until the final siren, right? And they have to score, and defensively they have to be great, and they have to get 3 and out, and it has to be absolutely perfect for them between now and final whistle. Adelaide University just need to break one play, and that's the big difference.
Even a stop would make it difficult. So just seeing where this penalty has ended.
They wave the flag off.
They wave the flag off. Okay, so we're still at the 35-yard line, still 1st and 10.
We are in onside kick territory as well.
Yes.
I think.
Yep.
4-down football and onside kick territory. It's an interesting.
You can't go down wondering, can you? So they're putting a lot of faith in Burford, who did not get back to the original line of scrimmage.
No, and that's what I was talking about before. Those reverses and end-arounds and sweeps. It's a lot of running for really not much reward. I mean, in fact, it's a loss.
Yeah, I'm thinking there was the loss on the original.
Well, I don't
play.
I don't think it's a loss, but they haven't got back to the original line of scrimmage.
Yeah, it's 3rd and 11. So now it's the Hogs defence chance to get a 3 and out. Probably a bit of pressure here on the Eagles. Still got Gargiano in the backfield.
3rd and long.
Out to the flat to Burford, who's double teamed. Makes the catch, but is a long way short of that 1st down mark. You said it's 4-down territory. This will be an interesting test to see where the Eagles coaches agree with you, David, because it is early in the 4th.
Yes, 4th and 7.
It's in Hogs territory. You don't get this.
For me, they have to, because if they give the Hogs the ball now, if they punt it away, expect to see a lot of running.
Yeah.
Expect to see straight up the guts running, maybe bring in the big Gavin Jones.
Well, they've brought in the punter is what they've done.
Yeah, but my concern now is that this now allows the Hogs to clock manage.
Well, a punt it's going to be, and a beautiful punt it is. Olsen has a chance to return. He comes down the Eagles sideline, the city side of this ground. Steps out of bounds at the 40. That's a pretty good play for the Hogs. They went in deep.
Clock stops either way on a change of possession, so that's, there's no point in him going and getting hit. This is the issue now, is the Hogs can now clock manage.
Yeah, and they're starting in a decent spot at the 41. So even the hope that we might get a kick away, pin them deep, didn't happen. And like a good tennis game, the ball is now in the Hogs' court.
Yeah, I'm sure we've got the one and only David Muggleton is roaming the sideline, and I'm sure he can, get us time updates as this goes on. But expect to see a lot of runs, staying in bound, keep that clock going, and I don't think we're going to see a lot of stoppages. At what point do the Eagles start using their timeouts? Whether they're going to need their timeouts? Sam Crummy has shown he can drive.
Yep.
So they need to give Sam as much time on the clock as they possibly can, because they are, they're 3 scores away essentially. Because 2 touchdowns is 14, so they have to score again.
Well, they can get a cut. They can get 2 2-point conversions and lead.
Oh, sorry, I bow to your better knowledge.
So depends what
better maths.
They need 4 scoring plays, including 2 touchdowns and conversions, and it's a lot that has to go right. That's the problem. And you're right,
and look,
they brought
you
in the
just see
big man.
There is Ryan Nielsen. I expect to see a variation of this play and long huddles from now on.
Tick, tick, tick.
Yep. So there is a play clock. The umpires will have the play clock. They will be telling Pat Ryan, here's Gavin Jones. Gavin Jones at fullback. And the big fella Ryan Nielsen look, they're lining up again. Your big man running team.
The jumbo package is what it often used to be referred to. usually for goal line situations. That's not far short of the first down. It is by a yard.
If you're gonna be able to stop these guys for anything less than 4 yards, you're winning. Because if they do that 3 times, it's a first down. Yeah. The umpire at the back, the fellow with the white hat, will be telling Pat when he's got 10 seconds. And then Pat will be counting in his head before he calls the snap. He wants these huddles and pre-snap to be as long as possible. If you want to take the air out of a sideline, this is how you do it.
I think the Patriots have what they call a 4-minute drill, where their aim is to get to 2 as quickly as possible. Well, they're applying a similar scenario. He needs one more spin for the first down, I think.
It's close.
We'll wait for the spot.
It's close. But again, look, I don't think the Hogs are bothered because, he's changed over to first down. They had the first down signal.
Yeah, more of that coming.
Yeah, this is going to be it. Be intrigued to know how long to go. And like I said, at what point can the Eagles, do they start burning a timeout? Because they are in danger. So 7:45, but so I might start a stopwatch actually. Let's see whether we can do that, because I think we're going to, it's going to be a thing throughout this, through the rest of this. And so they get a tackle in the backfield. They moved away from their jumbo package.
Yeah, and what that means now is the jumbo package may not work to the same extent because they've got 2 plays to try and get 15 yards.
It's certainly a longer. But the important thing is the clock keeps going.
I don't think they'll go anywhere near a sideline if they can help it.
So it's second and a long way. Second and an Uber ride.
All right, so they're still lining up. Just trying to see if the Eagles are stacking the box. They're not really. They call the run. I wasn't sure if I was calling American football. I was calling that sumo suit wrestling thing, they put on the big...
Oh, the big ball, yeah.
Have a look at the bounce reaction of this.
Big number 5, and there's a little bit of jawing afterwards, but, another third down run.
So it is double sticks. It is third, and I hope the Hogs they'll know this, that it's not 3rd and 4, it's 3rd and 14.
Yeah, so double sticks, again, for people who aren't too sure, you'll see the umpires do almost like a wiggles sign. Mm-hmm. It's basically saying that they're over 10 yards, so a penalty is not an automatic first down unless it's a big one.
Yeah. There's 2 sticks that are down markers, and they've got to get across both. Ryan's going to try and take to the air. He has all the time he could ever want.
He's open!
Downfield to Olsen. First down, and is that almost the ball game?
It's pretty close, because I tell you what, Gavin Jones and Ryan Nielsen now will be absolutely slavering. You talk about these big guys. Gavin Jones and Ryan Nielsen are big human beings. Now, you might look at them and go, well, there's no way that they are going to be able to keep going and have the aerobic capacity to do this. Mate, it will be pure adrenaline from now on.
Because the other thing it does, it's a 15-point margin. They are now, with the wind at their back, in field goal territory with the best kicker in the comp. So some clubs this works for, some it doesn't. Field goal in this position is very much an option, and that would make it a 3-score game.
Well, they've gone to the small package. I mean, I want to see the big guys. They're all offside. Look, I don't think there was a touch in the middle. If they've managed to snap when they're offside, but it should be a free play at that point. So I think they're going to suggest it's a false start and move them back 5. But the big guys, the jumbo package, have done all the work to get down here.
Yep.
The false start confirmed. Let them get it over the line.
Well, if it's a goal line situation, you might.
We will see
wish.
Gavin Jones. I got to call him doing it in the state game. The slowest 3-yard run, or the longest 3-yard run you've ever seen in your life, Phil. Thing was moving like a glacier, but it got there in the end.
Hey, it's all about the result. I bet he's watched that highlight. Burnt out the CD doing so. Second down. No, it's first and 15 with the penalty.
Mitch Olive up at the top of your screen. He's open. He lost him.
And decides.
Scramble drill.
Just take it to the 10-yard line.
See, and again, Pat Ryan, at that point, you would look to slide at that point. You want to stay in field. You
will not be happy until he executes.
I want to see a good slide from Pat Ryan, but he's gone out of bounds. He's stopped the clock. He needs to slide. He's protected in the slide, and keep that clock going. That's just a little bit of game awareness from Pat Ryan.
Yeah, true. Could have gone down. Been perfectly protected and kept that clock running.
That's the thing. The clock is the most important thing for both of these sides at the moment. And he had Mitch Olive. He had him open. He just saw him too late. Mitch Olive at the top of your screen. Look for a pylon.
Second down, about 11, I reckon.
Protection, look for a pylon.
Flag.
There it is. If there's not a flag there, I'll be surprised. There is a flag down.
There's a flag thrown.
That's how you solve but that's how you solve a problem like Mitch Olive. You just don't let him jump. Look, I mean,
I would. I'd be reaching for the hanky at that point too.
Matthew Thompson. I mean, that's desperation. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not a terrible flag. Because where you are, you're half the distance to the guy. I cannot believe they haven't thrown a PI.
Well, and even the offside is waved off. So
there's nothing on the play.
So that's an incomplete pass. Okay.
Yep. I mean, look, we can say we've got I called it before the replay. I called it in real time. That's a PI. Mitch Olive is still there. Do it again.
Yeah.
Do it again. Back pylon.
Third down now. So I've still got 10 yards to get.
There he is. No. He had him again and he just didn't look at him.
All right. So now
he's punished himself as well, Pat Ryan.
I'm trying to see where they're going to mark the ball.
Wherever it's going to be marked, it's going to be fourth down.
Yep. If it's inside the 20, I'd be going for the field goal.
I think they're in field goal range.
Just have a quick look.
He had Mitch Olive open again and didn't see him that time.
Well, the side judge on the far side is about the 15. That would make it a 32-yard attempt. Olive is setting up. This is for the championship, Dave. This would put it beyond.
I mean, look, if it's not for the championship, it's in Disney movie territory. I'll give you the hot tip. Because you can't see much.
Yes. Now, Pat told me we worked out our MVP.
Yeah, and look, we're six minutes on my clock. There will have been a couple of stoppages, so we are not far away. So, yeah, we're in Disney movie sort of territory here. There has to be some sort of spiritual intervention, I think, for this to work. Mitch Olive, you can't score a first half hat trick. Well, actually, it was just in the start of the second half, wasn't it?
No, that was that was when it got broken. When it was. I've struggled with his name. Oh, Henry Olsen scored the opening.
So he's the other person who's on my list.
Okay.
So Henry Olsen and Mitch Olive, for me, are the two.
Pat Ryan's thrown 4 touchdown passes.
Yes. I know this sounds bizarre as a quarterback, but I feel for a quarterback to be MVP, then you have to bring into account your offensive line.
Okay.
So, not
3 minutes, 29 seconds.
So 3.5 minutes to go, we've just been told. So, look, Pat Ryan has played well, but that has come from his offensive line being as good as they are.
Yep. No, Mitch. Look,
Mitch
I'm not
Olive,
sure if we're supposed to keep it quiet. Not sure how many people get a vote. We've been asked to provide one, and I am in total agreement with you, David.
Mitch Olive, for me, is the difference between these two clubs today.
Especially when it was early days and they were throwing haymakers at each other defensively.
And it's been a wonderfully... And I know people might have watched that last drive from the Hogs and thought, well, this is boring football. Well, yes, it is. But for football purists, what they did with their clock management was great. So again, in a 3-minute signal. So as we've said, it would be absolutely.
Well, they'd have to run the kick-off, then have an onside kick, which they'd recover, and then it's a 2-possession game.
Yeah.
So that's 2 miracles before we get within miracle territory. But when there's time, there's hope. Here comes the kick-off.
Oh, and that's,
Jesus.
I mean, that is.
And that's how you avoid having a return for a touchdown. You kick it out the back of the end zone.
I have to say as well, that puts a full stop on it for me for the MVP, because it's been things like that. You now give them as long a field as possible for them to have to return. I mean, they need to score on this first play and then onside kick. And if you're kicking it literally out the back of the end zone, then you can't ask for much more. And again, you just talked about, we talked briefly about the fact that the Eagles had to be perfect till the end of the game, and that the Hogs just needed to be lucky once. They haven't been, but what they have been is incredibly disciplined and incredibly smart.
And that is all the signs of a Mark Lieberman's coach team, having experienced that on the wrong side of the ledger many times through the 90s. What's amazing about Coach Lieberman, who is one of the most successful coaches in Australian gridiron history, coach of the SA team in its early national championship, he actually, as a coach, lost his first 4 grand finals as a coach. Think what that does to a psyche. Losing a grand final and losing 4 with 3 different clubs in a row.
So the clock will stop for the incomplete pass, and now you would see a completely different style of football now from the Eagles. Everything will probably be in the air because they need to stop the clock. If they do run, they're going to look for the sideline.
It's going to be pretty close. Are they going to run?
He's got to get to the sideline. He doesn't. It's good work from Howie, and who's that, 97?
I reckon one more play, then we're at the 2-minute warning.
Tom Rose. And I think they've still got all 3 timeouts.
I don't think we've seen a timeout used by either side today.
No.
There really hasn't been the game situation. There wasn't at the half. If you remember, Eagles were threatening. They turned it over with about 40 seconds left deep in the Hogs' territory. That is possibly a point in the game that, upon reflection, made a difference. If the Eagles score just before half-time, we have a different football game.
Yep. But if it's and nuts with candy and nuts, we'd all have a wonderful Christmas.
Oh, my, yes. In many ways, it's better to lose by a few scores than one, in my opinion, because if you ever lose a championship game, and you've experienced it, of course, by a narrow margin, too many, they hurt more because you think about it so much more.
Yeah, I mean, especially if, and look, if you're the Eagles when you come off of this game, and if you sit and, if you're sitting and watching this tonight, if you can bring yourself to watch it, I mean, there is a heap to be proud of. Like, I'm being genuine. I'm not just saying this. I feel that on the day, the Eagles have been the better team. I think they've controlled the ball better. I think they've done well. But when you have a talent as precocious as Mitch Olive, it's always going to be a big, tough day. Don't get me wrong, the Hogs have played very, very well.
Yeah.
But I think the Eagles edge it from a football point of view.
I'm not totally sure I can agree with that. You look at the turnovers, and the Eagles, I think, have had one more turnover than the Hogs. Penalty-wise, I think the Eagles have been penalised a few more times than the Hogs, especially that defensive offside. The thing with the Hogs is they look so clean when they're doing well.
Yeah.
And you have such high expectations of what they do.
But they've forced interceptions from the Hogs. They've forced fumbles, and and again we talk about ifs and buts. But if they reacted to that fumble a little bit better, then we're looking at a different football game. There's a whole heap of things that could have changed. The scoreline I think, is weighted. If you look at that scoreline, it's not indicative of the game
Well,
we've
it's
seen.
never been less than a 2-score game for 3 quarters, and there's some icing on the cake. The sack, the fumble.
He's away.
Eagles will recover it.
Well, he can't. If he's on the floor, he can't play it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
As soon as and it seems ironic me saying this against the Hogs, but as soon as his knee is down, the play is dead.
So, whilst the fans would love to say, "What are we doing?" That is actually fully.
Yeah, someone was asking the question, and I'd like to stand up. I think this could be it. They're talking about something.
Well,
someone's down injured. Sam Crummy is down injured. He had all of the weight of one of the number 90, so it's either Rose or Nielsen. Either one of them is going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah. Thankfully, Crummy is up.
We play to NCAA rules, so in the NFL that would have been fine. It's a live ball. In this, it's definitely a fumble. There's the fumble. As the player comes, it's number 57. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, well, I can see why one umpire thought his knee was there when it wasn't.
Yeah, that's too close. He looked down for mine. We do apologise if you get any agricultural language, but at the end of the day, it is sport. Yeah. If you're watching this, you're probably expecting it.
And that's it. They're going to take a knee, and they're going to take a substitution. I reckon,
Who's taking the knee? So it's still Pat Ryan, I think.
Yeah. How many times have I seen this? Championship day, the Hogs with the ball, the lead, and a victory formation. I'm just surprised it's taking this long to organise, personally.
I know there's been a bit of a tease for you, because I'm going to stay out of your way, because nobody in the game does it better than you, Phil.
Oh. And this is going to be...
But they're making us all wait.
Yeah, we've got Gagliardo in the backfield having a chat. I mean, it's good they're finishing in this kind of spirit. They'll get together. Hopefully we have a national championships next year. Time to be determined, venue to be determined. And these combatants will join up as one. But for today,
wait for them to hold the ball in the air.
As it has been on so many days, the Adelaide University Hogs are the kings of South Australian gridiron. The 38th championship game and the Hogs' 28th state championship. Simply remarkable. That's all I got, Dave.
I think, and you let the pictures do the talking. It's been a really, really good game of football. It's been incredible. It has been 4 quarters of really, really good, disciplined football with the cherry on top of an athletic individual who has really been the difference between the two teams, and that's why he was our MVP.
Yep, and doing something that you wouldn't see in gridiron played elsewhere, because there'd be a specialist kicker, there'd be a specialist receiver, there'd be a specialist returner. At this level, Mitch Olive can do all of that and absolutely star. Something wonderfully unique about the way the game is played. It may be through necessity, but still unique to see happen. Final score, the Adelaide University Hogs 31, UniSA Eagles 13. It looks like a blowout score. It felt closer than that scoreline indicated. Hogs set it up, leading 20-6 at quarter time, 28-6 at the half. Actually, just after the half, it was that touchdown, start of the third quarter. Dave, I have to rock and roll. I'll leave you with any presentations that we might be doing, but thank you for your company. We must do this again.
All the best for your baseball this afternoon. It's been an absolute pleasure to call with you again. You're right. Everything you've said is right. I'm just trying to get some confirmation. No, we're not, so I'll allow you to wrap up for the day.
Well, I think we pretty much said it all. On a warm December afternoon, the 38th season of Gridiron in South Australia concludes with a common story, and that is the most successful club in Australian gridiron has added another championship to its tally. The Eagles were gallant. They had their moments. But once again, the Hogs victorious 31-30. On behalf of, let me get this right, we've got Dave Muggleton, the erstwhile producer. We've got Johnny. We've got
Carl at the
Carl
top.
at the top. My caller, Dave Webb. This is Phil Hedden saying thanks for watching. Keep your eye on Spacequake Sports. Plenty of other great sporting activities coming your way later today.